रोहित, डॉक्टर साहब ने ज्वाइन कर लिया है। ठीक है, आप उनको को होस्ट बनाइए। सर का नाम है सलेंदर कुमार। ठीक है, इसी नाम से उन्होंने ज्वाइन किया है। SHALAN, ऐसे सर्च करिए आप। डॉक्टर साहब, गुड इवनिंग, नमस्कार, स्वागत है आपका।
Good evening, Dr. Ankur. How are you?
जी, मैं ठीक हूँ डॉक्टर साहब। विद इन 3 मिनट्स हम स्टार्ट करते हैं।
Okay, fine.
ठीक है डॉक्टर साहब, ठीक।
Sir, when can I start?
विद इन 3 मिनट। 200 प्लस पार्टिसिपेंट्स जैसे ही ज्वाइन कर लेंगे, आप रजिस्टर्ड पार्टिसिपेंट्स के ग्रुप में एक मैसेज भी डाल दीजिए। ठीक है, लास्ट रिमाइंडर फॉर ज्वाइनिंग। इसके बाद आप सारे फैकल्टीज का आप अटेंडेंस ले लीजिए और उसको एक्सेल में करके हमें दे दीजिएगा। ठीक है। नंदिनी, ऑन एन एवरेज 200 पार्टिसिपेंट्स ने ज्वाइन कर लिया है। आप स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, रेस्ट ऑफ द पार्टिसिपेंट्स ज्वाइन करते रहेंगे।
Okay, sir. A very lovely good evening to one and all, the respected dignitary, speakers, mentors, and participants joining us from across the country and around the world. I am Nandini Sharma, Assistant Director HR at AgriMeet Foundation Bharat. Extend a warm welcome to everyone on day 6 of the International Winter School Bharat 2025. Each day of this global learning initiative adds a new dimension to our understanding of innovation, sustainability, and leadership in agriculture. Today's session focuses on strengthening climate smart food systems and sustainable agricultural operations that align science with society's needs. The International Winter School Bharat 2025 is jointly organized by Agri Meet Foundation Bharat and UGC MMTTC Jodhpur in collaboration with national and international universities and research institutions. This 30-day program embodies the theme Boosting Holistic Agriculture through Research, Awareness, and Training. It aims to empower students, researchers, and professionals with global insights in areas such as precision agriculture, biotechnology, AI applications, and climate smart innovations for food security and sustainability. So, today we are honored to welcome one of the most distinguished leaders in agricultural policy, food systems, and rural transformation, Dr. Shailendra Kumarji, Deputy Global Research Program Director of Enabling Systems Transformation Program, and Cluster Leader of Markets, Institutions, and Policy at ICRISAT Hyderabad. Dr. Kumar is an Indian national and a fellow of the National Academy of Agriculture Sciences. He also serves on the executive committee of Global Food and Climate Systems Transformation Alliance, led by MIT. He holds a doctoral degree in agricultural economics and has over 29 years of experience working across Asia and sub Saharan Africa. His work focuses on data driven system approaches for scaling climate smart and nutritive sensitive agriculture value chains and food systems. Dr. Kumar's research integrates system dynamics, modeling, food security analysis, farm intensification strategies, and sustainable trade off assessments, all aimed at making agricultural systems more resilient, inclusive, and adaptive to climate change. Through his work at ICRISAT, he has contributed significantly to the development of climate smart policies, innovation systems, and advocacy frameworks that empower smallholder farmers, strengthen rural livelihood, and promotes mainstreaming of millet and other dryland crops for global food security. He is truly a global thought leader whose contributions to shape agriculture sustainability and rural transformation strategies worldwide. We are deeply honored to have you with us today, sir. On the behalf of AgriMeet Foundation Bharat and UGC MMTTC Jodhpur, I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Shailendra Kumarji to the International Winter School Bharat 2025. We look forward to your enlightening session on food system transformation, climate resilience, and the future of sustainable agriculture. So, please join me in welcoming Dr. Shailendra Kumarji. Over to you. The session is yours, sir.
Thank you so much, Nandini Sharma. And thanks to the organizers for having me here, Dr. Ankur and yourself. And also, I congratulate for creating that kind of platform where I can see more than 200 people are already there. Because nowadays people are sometimes struggling to bring so many people at one place through these online sessions. So thank you very much and congrats. And so maybe around next 1 hour or so, maybe 50 minutes, my talk will focus around those areas which Ms. Nandini has mentioned. But those are very broad areas, but I would be, in fact, focusing more on how we really look at the systems thinking and systemic solutions to address some of these challenges. And the focus of my talk is overall, but the more example will be from kind of an India case study or India focus, which taking an example of India and how do we really look at in a systems way or systems approach or systems thinking to address these complex challenges. So I will share my presentation and then I will start. S- think- Sorry, it's this one. Mm. Can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
Uh,
Mm. I just want to hide this thing somehow.
Sir, can you do like in PPT mode for one?
Yeah, I will do, but I want to hide that.
Sir, there's a cup icon, no, like on the right hand corner. There's a like जहाँ पे zoom in zoom out का बना वहाँ
uh,
एक slide show का option है sir, एकदम last
yeah,
में.
it has gone. I think so. Now I will go for the no cup. I can see that other one I
Yeah,
was
उस पे
trying.
click करेंगे sir चला जाएगा sir. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes. Can you move one or two slides, sir, just for confirmation?
yes.
Yeah,
This
it's moving, sir.
this this.
Moving.
Okay, good. Very good. So maybe next 40 minutes, I just said, I will be talking about around, of course, climate is part of it and sustainability is part of it. And when we talk about the food and farm and future, why transforming agri-food system is really key for sustaining futures, livelihoods, actually the overall existence is on agriculture. So why it is so important? So I will cover some of those issues and highlight some of the challenges which almost all of you know what kind of challenges we are facing today. And also many of us know that what solutions, so many solutions are coming. But in whole this talk, I will try to focus on how do we see things, how do we understand the challenges, and when we understand them the way we should understand, then we can design solutions which can really help us to address. I just start with, I think most of the participants are from India mostly. I think some of them are from out of India, but even those who are from out, yes, yes, Ms.
हाँ,
Nandini.
आउट ऑफ इंडिया से भी हैं सर, आउट ऑफ इंडिया से भी हैं.
Okay, no problem. So even those who are out of India, but you just look at the context and then which is applicable, especially in the global south, what I'm trying to present. So this first slide shows that how, if you look at the progress, this data set is only from 2005 and 6 for last around 20 years. So when you look at the food grains, horticulture, milk, all is just kind of running very fast and it's all increasing every year. This is an example of India in terms of million tons. All these numbers are in million tons. And we know now that India has become almost in all commodities a surplus country. When you look at the same trend from 1951 to 21-22, especially on the food grain, only one example, the trend line is much steeper. So that means we are making a very good progress, which all of us we are proud of and we boast, and which is good because the scientists, the farmers, the policymakers all together have really contributed to that. But then, uh, okay, sorry, I want to, sorry, I wanted to hide this. No, one is small strip is coming to my titles. I don't know. Yes, I think it is gone down. Yeah, but if you look at globally, so there is a huge progress made in India, but also globally. In fact, the whole world is producing today more than what the people need today. Whatever the total requirement of the global populations, we are producing much more. But if you look at the overall food systems, the way they are working, more than 3 billion people across the globe is not really getting healthy diets, and almost 900 million are food insecure who do not really get sufficient food. And there is a widespread malnutrition and ill health, which is not only because of the availability, but looking at the overall the food system, the way food system is really functioning. But at the same time, whatever we are producing, there is big concern on unsustainability in terms of resources, water, soil health. I think you must be listening and reading, and you know already. And then the climate change, environmental degradation, biodiversity loss, these are again threatening our whole system. But at the same time, the food system, agri-food system, as on today, is a big contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions, and which are again kind of leading to human-induced climate change. And then it's a kind of cause and effect. And unless we address, so normally we look at the energy and automobiles, but 1/3 of the emissions are coming from agriculture. But when we look in the global south, especially countries like India, the contribution is around 20%. But still, it is one of the biggest contributor to GHG, but it is also getting impacted because of climate change. So we need to really work on how do we adapt to climate change, but at the same time, we also have to design our system in such a way that we also try to reduce the emissions. Then only in future we can make the system more sustainable. At the same time, the mega trends in terms of increasing urbanization, in not only like in India, but in many countries in Africa, very soon many countries will have more than 50% population in urban centers, and people really don't want to do agriculture. And then there is demographic shift, aging population, environmental challenges, but there are opportunities in terms of digitalizations, better connectivity. So how can we really, what needs to be done? My talk is around that. So if you look at India, in India, we have really made a significant achievement in terms of the production of various commodity, which I just mentioned. But when we have achieved the self-sufficiency in most commodities in India, but also there is a very high extreme water scarcity and water stress. More than 50% or 55% of the districts in India is under kind of extreme water scarcity facing in certain seasons. Land degradation is another problem. The soil health is a big issue. So unless we address these, how do we really build sustainable systems? And then the public health risk because of the kind of food system or kind of low diversity of food, we are already reached to that kind of food systems of food habit. But and there is also a significant disparity between non-farm income and farm income. So all these and climate and all that is really it's a real big case that we need to transform this system so that not only we are producing food or enough from agriculture, but also it has to become sustainable, which is good for the health of the overall system, but also good for the health of the human being. So in India, I would not read, but if you look at the left side, this is what kind of achievement we have made in terms of the food grains or horticulture, milk, and also export around $52 billion of export annually from India. But then the critical gaps in terms of the outcome indicators, the nutritional deficiency among the children below 5, women of reproductive age face very high, especially anemia. So, and the farm income. So these is a kind of paradoxical situations when we have a huge production, but at the same time, the ultimate aim of any food system is to really ensure a good food to the people, but also of course, the livelihoods and income of the people who are involved is also one of the primary reason. But the main final goal is to ensure a kind of nutrition sensitive food systems where people are able to eat good food and then they are healthy. But that's really not happening. Not happening is not because the way we are producing, but the way we are doing many things. So therefore, the incremental reforms under this system, but this story is not alone for India, but this is also for many other countries who are trying to progress in terms of income or GDP, agricultural growth. But the complete transformation is needed. The way of looking at the things has to change. Looking at the things in a systems perspective is needed. That's what I'm trying to say, that there is a real need for paradigm shift to achieve these sustainable outcomes which we want. You have I mentioned in middle. So for that we are proposing this adopting an agri-food systems approach can really help us to a great extent, I would say. And again, the agri-food system approach is not only when we are really working on the agriculture side or production side, but it's a whole canvas from production to consumption and from research to the policy. That's how the agri-food systems approach looking at the things. Few other data I would like to share with you, which why I am trying to, the whole of my, not whole, but at least almost half of the presentation is as prepared in such a way that we're trying to really expose and illustrate that we need to see things differently when we want to design systems in a sustainable way, when we really want to improve systems in sustainably. So this slide, though I mentioned in the beginning on the production, which is rising, and the production is rising despite climate change. So that's why sometimes we say that we have become so climate resilient. I will talk about that later. But if you look at this slide, so I have only included few crops. So if you look at the rice yields, it's a district level average yields in India, and which is starting from few hundred kgs to more than 5 tons on an average. So where you are achieving in a district more than 5 tons per hectare, maybe some farmers are also achieving 8 tons and 9 tons. And then you look at the like sorghum, another one, 232 is around 2.5 tons. And similarly, if you look at groundnut, it's from very small, around 100 and 150 to more than 4 tons per hectare. So the point I'm trying to make is that when we are trying to look at the things, we talk about the average numbers. We need to look at things in a more systems perspective, that still there are huge yield gaps. When we are saying that we have really made big progress in terms of production, of surplus production, we are exporting many commodities, but the average yields are very low. But when you go look at the district level, disaggregated level data, and when you further go down, the yield gaps are very high. But when you look at the yield gaps, so here the challenges on the right side are very different, and challenges on the left side where the yields are very low are very different. Maybe those crops are not at all suitable to those areas. So when we are trying to address, we should not be really obsessed with really providing the same set of solutions everywhere, and not same set of crops, promoting that if you go to the rice area, if you're a rice expert, not necessary that rice only will happen there. Maybe there is no chance that where you can achieve peak or good yield of rice, maybe something else has to come. So I think looking at that in a systems perspective will help us to design appropriate sustainable intensification strategies. Another aspect is the risk. The risk is another dimension. So as I mentioned before that despite climate change, our production is increasing. It does not mean that climate change is not impacting. So climate change is impacting certain systems, certain locations, certain pockets, and certain people. But why we are still able to really maintain or increase the production? Because our yield gaps are very high. So because of the improved access to technologies, improved access to infrastructure, improved access to information to the farmers, which is happening continuously, the farmers or at the field level, the yield gaps are slowly being abridged or reducing the yield gap. But at the same time, when climate change is impacting, so without climate change, we might have really progressed much better. That's the point I'm trying to make. But to design and to make the systems more resilient, you must understand the climate risk. So the left side is the like district level climate risk assessment. And then I've just highlighted one or two climate parameters. Here is the hailstorm. So if you know that particular region is exposed or is vulnerable to a particular climate risk more or less, or the overall risk, we can design or we can help the policymakers, the farmers, the extension system, that how do we design or how do we diversify or change our strategy so that in the region. But here the thing is that most of the analysis has been done at the district level, but we need to go further down. So the right side, there is another work which we did where we have done this kind of climate risk assessment at the sub-district level, where mandal level, mandal in Telangana state is like every district has around 10 to 12 or 15 mandals. So it's a much smaller disaggregate level. So somebody raised a hand whether you want to allow questions in the between or in the last. Dr.
Sir, we
Ankur?
will take a
In the
doubt
last.
session in the last.
Okay, yeah, I think that's better. And then, so if you are able to really do the climate risk assessment, it helps us. And similarly, we have done another exercise where we look at the climate risk, but also we try to understand the relationship between climate risk or the climate variability with the uh, crop production, area production, and yields. So those kind of analysis again help you to really in different districts what kind of strategies in different districts in different crops. So this is another dimension in terms of climate change. But when we are looking at the climate risk or designing our strategies for the climate risk management, not only what is happening even now, first of all, still we need to really improve. I am talking about India itself. Despite our very robust systems in terms of climate forecast and supercomputing and all that, still the farmers have very limited access to contextualize weather informed advisories. That's the one area where a number of institutions are working to improve that. But the point is that most of the focus is only on farmer side. If we want to help farmers or the agri-food system, it's very important we look at the risk, climate risk across the whole value chain. So if we are informing the whole value chain, how they manage the climate risk, we are helping farmers. If there is a impact of climate change or climate variability on the other nodes of the value chain other than farmers, the other stakeholders are most of the time going to transfer that risk to the farmers. So ultimately loss is going to be happen to the farmers. So I think it's important that we look at the risk at different scale, whether it's a input dealers or seed or machine, pesticide, processors, exporters. So we should be looking at when we are trying to manage the climate risk in across the agri-food system. So those who are working in this area of understanding climate risk and designing strategies should really work from the farming systems or farm household to the kind of sub-district, district to national level in terms of agriculture, but also in terms of particular nodes of different value chain. That will help us to design effective strategies to really manage climate risk. And then climate change, when we are talking about climate change, so climate change have number of number of effect or in terms of negative effect on the overall agri-food systems or value chain is not only in terms of production or area, but in number of ways it affects. It affects means there are number of things in the left side. If you look at how different kind of climate change challenges we face in different regions, the drought or floods or flash floods or late onset, terminal, all these short sowing windows. Soil degradation also is because of the climate change, whether heavy winds and erosions and forest scarcity, pest and disease emerging due, and then the other value chain actors also at the storage and food quality and safety, those are all impacted. So then how do we really address those? So what to grow and how to grow, when to grow to adapt to climate change. So the mapping risk and the looking at the opportunities across the landscapes, regions and farming systems can help us to design. And then the access to climate or context specific climate information can help, and then access to climate smart agriculture technologies. For example, farm machinery is one which is I wanted to highlight. despite a lot of mechanizations, farmers are still facing. And then I will also talk later that why there is a need to work on not only from farming system level, but whole landscape and value chain scale. This is a very interesting slide, and this slide is I have included this slide. It's a kind of revelation, and to the main idea here is to really again look at the uh, why there is a need to look at things in a systemic way, in a more nuanced way. How do we really understand the complexity of the systems? This is a very simple analysis, very simple slide, but the message is very powerful. So this is a last year's study in Maharashtra based on the 500 households in Maharashtra, mostly those semi-arid regions, and most of them are mostly rain-fed systems and partially irrigated system. This slide is showing us the net returns per hectare for different crops. So cotton here, soybean, pigeon pea, sorghum, wheat, maize, sugarcane, and chickpea. So the message which is coming from here, what happens when we are doing analysis for any agricultural systems or farmers? Normally what we do, we classify farmers into small, medium, and large, and we look at that how in different classes or categories of farmers, what is the average yield and what is the net returns and those kind of things. That many times really doesn't give us or inform the reality on the ground. So what is happening here, very surprisingly, many people get surprised when they look at this kind of results. So any crop you see here, for example, cotton, which is a commercial crop and normally people get good returns. But in the same year in same region, the net returns per hectare vary so much from minus 50,000 to 1,82,000. 1 lakh means 182,000 rupees per hectares, but also minus 50,000. And similarly in soybean, it's almost from 0 to 38,000 rupees per hectare. And same as pigeon pea. So that means when we are saying that what is happening to cotton in Maharashtra or what is happening to soybean in Maharashtra or pigeon pea in Maharashtra, there is no single answer. So when you look at the first part, the left side of any of these graphs, which is very low values, these farmers need very different solutions or different interventions as compared to what is happening on the right side where the farmers are doing very well in each crop. So what happens? We take the average and average comes to a middle, which is a good number, and then we are very happy. But at the same time, if you look at the thing that in the same place, you can learn from these same farmers and then teach the other farmers. So how can we bridge those gaps, which is the factors, address those factors, which is really constraining farmers on the left hand side? And they can also learn from the right hand side farmers. So we need to really look at this complexity of the systems. It's not like small, medium, and large farmer average. So every farmers and different kind of farmers are affected by different things. So if we are able to address and understand these things in this fashion, we will be able to design the contextualize strategy which is not one size fit all, but normally that happen one size fit all. So this kind of deeper analysis is really needed. And here just I want to say that this net returns difference in net returns is not only because of the yield difference or not only difference in the prices, but the cost of production was another reason, because some farmers will incur more cost for the same thing. Some farmers will incur less cost. That means in the overall system or services or the access or network or access to market and their awareness, many things affect the cost of production. So transaction costs for different type of farmers are different. So if we address that part, maybe we are trying to solve the problem. Now there is another aspect I just wanted to highlight. When we are looking at the systems and when we want to design the sustainable systems, not only looking at the productivity or income or maybe sometime maybe risk, that is not enough. So sometimes what happens that when we are working with the farmers even directly, and some farmers, you whatever you do, when you are working in a village, for example, or extension system are working or researchers are working, and you are working with say 100 farmers. So out of those 100 farmers, 20 farmers are able to really adopt and make a lot of progress. But another maybe 30% farmers are able to do something, and others, despite your support and despite even giving inputs, they are not really able to make much progress beyond certain threshold or certain point. Why? That means there are many other factors which are really hindering those farmers. So, for those kind of understanding why all farmers are not able to make progress, why even in poverty case, why some people are really go out of poverty and some are not, and same case in overall agricultural progress. So we have developed a tool which is called like MSAT, Multidimensional Sustainability Assessment Tool, which has more than 100 indicators, which which measures the environmental, social, economic, sustainability, productivity, and human well-being. So this is a simple tool where you just like a survey tool, and then with survey you collect the information on these indicators, and based on which you create indices, and through which you know that which domain is very weak. Maybe suppose sometime the human well-being or social domain is very weak. Then despite your support, maybe that farm household will be able to make progress up to certain threshold. After that, unless you address the social or human well-being dimension, they will not be able to really make progress. So these kind of analysis or understanding or systems analysis help us that what needs to be done to the kind of stubbornly some of the sections of the farmers or some regions are not really able to make progress. So those kind of tools can really help to design those kind of interventions. I would not go in detail, but this other aspect is when you look at this is an example of Maharashtra, which crops in the context of drought, certain crops are more resilient and certain crops are more risky. But our analysis of almost 5 years data or panel data showed that those farmers who are kind of having a combination of risky and resilient crops provided really better outcomes. So these kind of analysis also help you to design sustainable intensification strategies, because many times what is happening, sometimes we say that we are working on these 30 years 40 years, but still the progress which we want to achieve is much low. So in that situation now, the secondary problems and many things are not apparently understood. So we need to go for deeper analysis. This is another tools which people can use. Means we also build capacity on that. The whole farm systems modeling tool, which we crop livestock enterprise model. This is a model at a whole farm level, like when a farmer has a piece of land, maybe 2 hectares or 1 hectare or 3 hectares, and then you have a livestock, you have labor and certain prices and particular climate, and then you run the model and you are able to identify the which combination of the enterprises in terms of type of crops, in terms of livestock, in terms of technologies, under the given labor conditions or price conditions, which will be the best for farmers. So those kind of tools also can help us to design agricultural sustainable intensification strategies. This is an example of West Africa in Niger. So we look at the different farm types, that when we did the kind of assessment that what strategies will help which type of farmers. So then we can promote where the returns are much higher in terms of the enhancement and the cash flows because of certain interventions. And if the improvement in the income is only 1%, 2%, 3%, 10%, farmers will not be interested in those kind of things. Only where the some tangible progress or tangible improvement is happening, only those kind of interventions farmers will accept. So these tools can help us the extension system. This is a similar exercise we did in Maharashtra. where the different kind of combinations of interventions, not one interventions, the bundle of information. This is example of Latur. I will show you one slide where you will see that how when we are working in a systems context, systems approach at landscape scale, where we are kind of harnessing the water and taking care of the soil and then designing the cropping systems and farming systems, and then connecting to market, how it can really improve. And these numbers are actual numbers where income has doubled or more than doubled, and the water availability in the normal life, especially the women who were really facing big challenges in terms of drinking water, then children's going to school. All those things can really help us when we are looking at working in a systems approach. I will show you an example. So, but whatever we are trying to do and trying to design, one size fit all doesn't really work. It has to be context specific. We need to understand the system and then design our. This is another model if somebody is interested, like the crop model, and then we use the whole farm model, and then we use pool farm tool, where we try to understand that what interventions when we are promoting into the farming systems, which are the win-win and win-lose, means where the emissions are less and income is more, where emissions are more and income is also more. So those kind of analysis can also help. Some people might be interested in those kind of work. Another aspect I really wanted to highlight, this is also linked to what I am talking before. I was talking at the farming systems level. What a huge variability across farm households. So you need to design. This is an example of Uttar Pradesh, one of the state in India. We did a quick analysis, but this is just to make a case for you. But overall idea is that there is a real need to undertake the suitability analysis for designing or promoting or encouraging a particular cropping or farming systems which are more suitable to particular areas. And considering the natural resources, social ecological systems, means the economic market aspect, but also the other social aspect, services, all that. So which crops will do better? Just to make a case, we did a quick analysis of the Kharif crops in Uttar Pradesh. If you look at the dark blue color line, which is a paddy, it is just showing only one parameter in terms of net returns per hectare from different crops. So if you look at rice or paddy, which is one of the major crop in Uttar Pradesh in different district wise analysis, so this deep blue, the dark blue line, in most cases or many districts, the net returns per hectare is almost lower than almost all crops, except in few cases. But in some cases, the net returns are negative as compared to others. But there are some other market forces or market conditions, or maybe the other kind of whatever system is going on, farmers are just following it because we haven't really tried and we haven't created market for other commodities. So there are multiple things. So in some of the, suppose if you want to diversify from rice to some other crops, suppose in Uttar Pradesh, so what we will do, if we have done that kind of analysis, first of all, we will target those districts where the overall net returns per hectare is negative from rice. For example, here is Banda, Chitrakoot, Hapur, I guess, or Gorakhpur, I don't know. It's difficult to understand here. So there are some districts, 7, 8 districts, where the net returns are negative or almost negative. So then maybe 20% farmers there might be doing well, but maybe 60-70% farmers are not doing well in this crop. But then, so this is just one example of only the economic aspect. But if you look at the overall, so these kind of analysis can really help us to better design and encourage better cropping and farming systems, which can help farmers, which can help the overall sustainability of the system. And these kind of analysis need to be really dynamic. I think I will skip this slide. I will also, is a local food system I'm talking about, because how much time is left, Dr. Ankur?
डॉक्टर साहब आप सफिशियंट टाइम ले सकते हैं, 7:30 तक
Okay.
है, अभी 13 मिनट है.
हाँ 13 मिनट इज नथिंग
अरे नहीं सर,
सो
आप
ओके
खींच सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, बहुत आप कर सकते हैं प्लीज। बहुत
अच्छा
अच्छा
ठीक
लग
है
रहा है, बहुत बढ़िया डॉक्टर साहब, बहुत बढ़िया लग रहा है।
so another point is what is happening now. I will not go into detail of this whole slide, but I just one point I want to make: the local food systems. So currently, our diets, I will come back in the last. We will keep some time for questions. No problem. Rohit Meena is raising the hand. No problem. So local food systems are really disturbed, I would say. People, even with a limited technology, limited resources, more diverse food people were eating. Everybody was producing something in the village. If you go 20, 30 years back or 40 years back, I'm talking about India, that everybody will have some area under in the villages, some carrot and some spinach, some fenugreek, something tomato, cauliflower. But now almost all of these people have stopped having those kitchen gardens or the small garden around in the farm. So this is really impacting even the whole tribal regions. Few of them are still doing, but still lot connected to market, and market is not really responding in terms of the nutrition. It is responding in terms of the only income. So maybe there are two players at that place, and as per their kind of economics, they will be really influencing the whole food system there. And even if you look at our own research system, whether state agriculture universities or the even ICR or any other centers, hardly there is any research on the local food systems in terms of how do we really, whether it's an urban system, whether in balcony agriculture or in the kitchen gardens. So there are some developmental programs which are promoting kitchen garden, but in terms of the research, in terms of creating conditions where the growing 2 kg of tomato become incentive for the family, because now for example, if you are producing 4 kg of tomato someday and you don't want to give free to somebody, earlier people used to distribute free, but now they don't want to do, and then they use only 1 kg and remaining 3 kg is not useful, they finally stop growing tomato, that is small scale anyways. So optimizing food production and harnessing the value of ecosystem services. This is another area which many people can really start. Uh, so now what is happening? The government of India has a very high priority, or priority means it really has very good intention. The government has brought a new act from the parliament where there is a process going on where you can trade, just like the voluntary carbon markets, the global voluntary carbon markets. Now the government is also creating a platform, because already law has come where you can trade carbon, you can trade the water credits or green credits. So this is a very very important area which the young researchers should really start some of them. Where how do you really quantify those? So as of now, we don't have. There is a challenge. How do you really properly quantify which are reliable, which people can believe that those water green credit has been generated, carbon credit, number of agencies are working, including ICRISAT is also working. But the other things also has to happen, I think. This is one way where we are talking about the market side of the environmental management. How do you really create incentives through creating green credit and carbon credit? But also in the long term, when you start generating evidence on the multidimensional benefits of the farming systems, the economic benefit everybody know, you everybody calculates: nutrition or healthy diets, emissions, soil health benefits. If you are investing today into good agriculture and good food production and consumption, how much medical expenditure you are going to save, how much human productivity. So those kind of analysis, if we generate properly in future, that will help the government to really creating incentive for doing that kind of things, because ultimately country is going to benefit, and we want to create a system which is sustainable. Not only ultimately human health is the ultimate outcome of any food systems, but also before that you have to have the health of the system which produce food, the soil and water and all that. I talked about that primary in the target of reducing also that low carbon diets and value chains. So on this, people talk about it. It's fine, but talking is not enough. We need to generate evidence. Some people whose area is kind of subject is relevant, people need to start generating evidences that by reducing these and by doing this, how it is impacting the overall welfare of the society. Once we generate evidences, that helps to really bring policies which help you to achieve the outcomes. I just wanted to give one example. There are a number of them actually. CRISAT has been involved that when we adopt a systems approach, this is an example of extremely challenging region in Western Rajasthan, in Badmer and Jaisalmer and Jodhpur, where we adopting a whole agro ecosystems approach, kind of designing and harnessing water and soil from the farm to landscape, and then farming system level, and then the market. So this is an example of where we facilitated together with the KVK and the other local partners, the Sankhpushpi medicinal value chain, bringing Dower India Limited also. Then, so I think the overall, even under those harsh conditions, the yield and income significantly increased, and systems become much better than before and much sustainable. I would say it's mostly harvested rainwater. This is another example I would give you on the Latur in Maharashtra. Again, adopting a whole systems approach where, first of all, a multidimensional understanding of the whole systems, including the not only what tool I shared with you before in my presentation, but also the hydrology and the land resource inventory, all these together, and designing a system in a participatory mode with the farmers, where farmers are in the driving seat, they are managing the things. There is a complete transformation in these landscapes where multifold increase in income, because also the fallow area converted into, and then water is accessible, and then people start the school going children, and they can go instead of going to fetch the water and all that. So it's a complete transformation by using a systems approach. The time is, I will still take maybe another 10 minutes, for example, I'll try to take. So all this, my idea was that it's not like anyone has the complete solutions to any problems. Maybe I may not have solutions to all the problems, so that I can tell you the solution for everything. But here the focus of this talk is to how do we really see things? How do we analyze things? When we understand things in properly, in a multidimensionally, in a systems perspective, then we can design many interventions, many solutions which is not in my mind also you can design. But before that, we need to understand the problem properly, that in interactions, how the things are happening, what is happening, and what solutions will come. So this is what I am trying to say, that a systems perspective is needed at looking at the things, and then how do we optimize across all the three dimensions: the economic viability, human health, and then the environmental sustainability. So how do we really do this, where the systems thinkings covers from farm to plate, from production focus to the market driven production responsive to consumers need, and prioritizing cultivation of diverse, nutritious and sustainable food. So how do we, so some of the things I already mentioned, some of the answers I mentioned about that, but I also again I will mention. So I took an example of because now the government of India is talking about the making India a developed country by 2047. So if any country want to become, especially I'm talking about the global south, a developed country, or Viksit Bharat in this case, we need to really address the agri-food system. So nutrition security is very important if you want to become a developed nation. Environmental recovery to ensure that you have that nutrition security sustainably, and of course economic viability. All these things are really needed if you want to achieve to improve the overall human well-being and want to become a developed country. And for that, a complete and fundamental restructuring is needed. So I'm proposing four pillars, which some of those things already I have talked about. One is the research reorientation. So research system currently are designed like green revolution target with the individual component mostly. We are talking a lot about that, but how do we really shift? There is intention. There is not only intention, but there are effort also. But it's not easy to really. So fostering a systems thinking, focusing on bundled value chain solutions, not only looking at one aspect of only seed or only machine or only something. So how in a whole value chain context, so whatever you are proposing, how it really enhance the overall systems productivity, or it doesn't really create very big trade-offs, but then up to market. And then breeding programs need to really prioritize not only yield, but nutrition, regenerative system. So if you want to, you are talking about regenerative agriculture. So to have those regenerative agriculture, what kind of varieties you need, which will fit into those regenerative practices or cropping systems, not only the yield. Same is the resource use efficiency, optimizing not only at the farm level or plot level, but at the whole watershed and landscape scale, because many things you cannot optimize at farm scale, and develop innovations for inclusion and circular value chain, so circular economy. So when you have those things in your mind, maybe complete solutions will not come, but slowly our solutions will move towards the direction. The current tools like AI, machine learning, and the real-time kind of data can really help in to achieving some of those things, and also looking at the overall broader ecosystem. The second pillar is the policy repurposing. So unsustainable practices with what happened? It's just gone down. Yeah, sorry. So unsustainable practices with long-term environmental cost. So how from there we can shift to the supporting or incentivizing sustainable farming practices. So we are talking a lot, like Government of India now initiated number of schemes in terms of Paramparagat Kheti, natural farming, regenerative, many others, organic farming. But there is a lot needs to be done actually, because still the market is not fully supporting that. And of course, the overall agricultural extension system, because now individual program specific projects are coming, but overall agricultural extension system is working a bit differently, and those specific programs are really working differently. And then so there is a need for the key reforms in terms of maybe some of the things like true cost accounting. So these researchers can do, if we are able to do true cost accounting, for example, for heavily subsidized energy and water resources, that can make a case. How can we improve these? The policies can be improved. How they can account for those kind of things? It will take time. There are already political implications, but once you offset in terms of economics, probably slowly we can move. And implementing eco labeling and green credit systems, which can also create market for those kind of, and creating market incentives to encourage sustainable practices. Fair compensation for farmers is very important, because farmers are providing various ecosystem services, not only in terms of the food, but also many other ecosystems services. They are maintaining a large millions of hectare as a green patch, which is giving oxygen and many things. So I think those evidences are needed. The third is the institutional innovations. The like Government of India is promoting a lot on farmers producers organizations and farmers producers companies, women self-help groups, and these can really become the vehicle of transformation. But so far, very small proportion of them are really able to function well. But with them, the agri-tech in innovation alignment is very important. So if we are able to strengthen linkage between the agri-tech startups and FPOs, of course, anchored by the National Agriculture Research and Extension System. And that can really help improving the efficiency and harnessing the power of these organizations or institutional innovations, but of course, ensuring that there has to be inclusive or participatory mechanism where all participating farmers need to benefit. It's a deeper subject. It needs a lot of things to do. So I have mentioned some of those things. What kind of policy instruments can help? What kind of capacity strengthening can help? The last one I'm talking about is very, very important. The cross-sectoral convergence and breaking down the silos. So we talk a lot about this convergence. We talk about breaking silos, but it's not happening. Very limited way. It's not happening. So ICR, especially in case of India, can have a kind of key role in anchoring that cross-sectoral coordination. So need for, like, if you talk about agriculture, so the agriculture department, water resource department, irrigation department, power, rural development, animal husbandry, fertilizers, environment, climate change, all these are working independently, but the outcomes or the impact of those policies and in or whatever they are doing, their practices or programs, are interacting among themselves and then impacting the overall agriculture. So how do we really look at the things that this farmer is doing? Agriculture or agriculture system is not really, cannot differentiate between these so many departments which are independently working, not really talking to each other. And then how do you really bring the nutrition sector? Because nutrition and agriculture is very strong linkage. But where the agriculture department and nutrition department and the child and welfare department, or how whether they are working together? No. So again, this kind of coordination, this kind of thought process is very important, but it's not necessary that this thing has to happen at the very top level. So wherever we are, I think we can start including and reorienting our own work, even at the very beginning level. Even if you are a scientist or assistant professor or whatever, we can start doing those things from the very beginning. But whenever we are doing all those things, it's very important that we monitor and track. So unless we monitor and track, we will not know whether we are really doing things or not. Maybe government can announce, but if nobody is tracking and proper, maybe for example, real-time tracking of carbon footprints across value chains, maybe it may not happen today, but we need to think about it. We need to include those kind of things into our research projects. How can we monitor or track these carbon footprints across the value chains? How can we monitor natural resource use efficiency, measuring nutrition outcomes, so assessing farmers' incomes? So all these will really help us to enable the evidence-based policy making. So what we do, we talk about it, but we don't generate the evidences. Then policymaker, we tell they are not doing good job because we also are not doing our job, because we don't give the data and information to the policymaker, right? So whatever they know, they will do it. So then local food system is another part I mentioned before. It can really help reducing the transportation cost, improve food freshness, enhance community resilience, all these things, and waste to wealth approach. So many startups who are not part of agriculture are working on that. Some of them are successful, but the scope is huge. But the agriculture scientists also have to really work on these together. Alone we cannot. So the agriculture innovations will not happen, the solutions will not come only from agriculture scientists. Many of them will come from outside. So we should really open up and look for with whom we can collaborate to really find solutions to that particular problem, because we are not competent, only do not have all the kind of skills or knowledge to bring solutions to the all complex challenges. So this is how the overall systems approach I was talking about. And the topic is huge. We can discuss. I can talk maybe another 1 hour or 2 hour. Thank you very much.
चैट बॉक्स ओपन कर दीजिए, किसी की कोई क्वेरी अगर है इस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक से रिलेटेड तो वो चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं, राजनीति को छोड़ के।
Somehow, yeah, it has come.
Everyone, chat box is open now. Kindly type your queries or you can unmute yourself too.
Yeah, there was some 1 or 2 few hands were there when I was talking. There is मीना, मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर। बोलिए क्या क्वेश्चन है? कृष्णा, हाउ टू मेक permaculture. So I will not write I will not, there's no state question, there's no state answer. How to make permaculture profitable, how to make organic agriculture profitable, how to make something profitable. I think anything, if you want to make profitable, what I was trying to kind of tell, we need to really understand the whole complexity of systems analysis. What are the components which are affecting that profitability? What is the affecting the sustainability? And then you design context specific solutions. Somewhere maybe labor is issue, somewhere the market is issue, somewhere some particular policy is issue. So I think I will not discuss on that how specifically only permaculture. Maybe permaculture may not be answer everywhere. Somewhere it may be answer, some may be a tweaking a simple regenerative solution or regenerative agriculture is a, so I that's my answer to that question actually. Second one is how can agriculture economics in India reconcile the goals of farm profitability, environmental sustainability, national food security, and the face of market volatility. Consumer. Navigate the complex global regulatory framework governing genetic. See, there are who is this? Subhadeep Rajak. There is a very long question. There are at least two very clear-cut questions. One is the first part of your question is what I was trying to tell in whole of my presentation. What I was trying to tell that how can we really, so what I was trying to tell that in the same area, one farmer is getting only 10,000 rupees per hectare income, and another farmer is getting 1 lakh rupees per hectare. So these two farmers have different problems, need to understand. So that's what I am trying to say. There is no silver bullet for anything. But when you talk about the small farmers, suppose a small farmer have 1 acre of land or 2 acre of land. Whatever you do, you cannot generate in most cases 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs from that 1 acre. No. So the small farmers, there are two things. One is whatever I was talking, the understanding and designing context specific solutions in technology, digital agriculture, but the organizational innovations in terms of FPOs, SSGs, those things are very important, but then connected also to the agri-tech startups and the agriculture researchers and extension system. But as on today, in FPOs, there are only few FPOs who are functioning well, who are helping. They can really help. I was in Maharashtra recently. Now the overproduction of custard apple. So farmers are getting 5 to 7 rupees or 6 rupees per kg, but in Hyderabad, we are getting 100 rupees per kg. So if the farmers are working through FPO, it can address 50% of the problem. But then, this is one part of the solution which has to happen. But then we need to not only the producing or enhancing the yield, but also profitability. Profitability by the best technologies. As I said that in my first slide, the yield difference is very high. So technologies are there. How can we yield? So because we are not really looking at, even the agriculture economists are not doing their proper job. So how many times, suppose in a district where we are working, have we really analyzed that why these farmers are getting only 300 kg and others are getting 2 tons and 3 tons, and what are the different solutions and what the development department should do? There is no plan of action from the research. So there is no connect. So half of the problem can be solved if we are able to provide those evidence-based action plans and solutions to the development people, and remaining the organizational innovations. And the third one, but cost of production reduction also should be there together. But again, one size fit doesn't work. But then another one, last one, that farmers in the long run cannot depend only on agriculture. They have to really a way through policy and skill building where has to be a kind of diversity of income sources for farmers. Mechanization has to happen. Mechanization, as in today, we talk about lot, but there is a very weak, big challenge in mechanization. Only big farm machinery is there, but a small scale is not. On gene editing, there is no problem. I think government that policy is clear. We can very well use, and already varieties released with gene editing. GMO, I think need not to talk about that. This is not the forum because it's still a lot of discussion. But gene editing can do kind of do a lot of that role which GMO want to do, but that's a different platform we need to discuss. Good evening. What's the change in your agri food system can genuinely help? One key change. One key change do nothing. There are multiple things depending on the context. My whole lecture is like this. One key change is nothing actually. There is no silver bullet for anything. So suppose if you are in Uttar Pradesh, in one district on an average, the net returns from rice per hectare is 50,000, and another only 5,000, another only 0. So if I give you 1 point, no, that's not the point of this kind of objective of this lecture. There is no one silver bullet, multiple things. How to get surplus production? See, this interesting question actually. So my point is now already we have surplus production. Except 2-3 commodities. Except means the oil seeds and pulses. These two, and pulses also very soon. Actually, the yield average yield of pulses is very low. And if we are able to make progress now, the average yield is around 900 kg per hectare. Even if we reach 1.5 tons or 1.3 tons or 4 tons, we are surplus in pulses. Oil seed will take some time. Now, going forward, India's one of the biggest challenge will be, despite huge population, that we need to really strengthen our market side. We need to address market side, and market side cannot be addressed only by domestic market because we are surplus. So we need to really look for the export and what to export, what quality of export. And if we want to do export, our domestic supply chains has to be strengthened, has to be made functional. Some reforms also need to be happen. So I think when we want to do export doesn't happen suddenly like that. So in the long run, maybe we don't know how much population. People are saying 1.6 billion. Even if with that, the looking at the yield gaps in everything, in all crops, all farming systems, our potential for production is huge, much more than our population. So we will be surplus definitely in 47, not 47. By 30 also already we will surplus in everything. Now also we are surplus in most of the things. So we need to look at the market, especially the export side, and which is a complex thing. I will need a separate another lecture, I would say. I am from Telangana. We are monitoring real-time AI integrated. We are looking for AI soil testing device, and you are welcome from whosoever. Who is this person? Surekha Nistala. You are welcome to Krisat. You can contact me. What shall we do? Solutions increase the profitability of cotton growers. Again, cotton, there are multiple. Some farmers are the pest, the losses due to pest is a big problem. One thing also happened, the labor issue is there in cotton. So one is the addressing the pest side, and another is there is no institution really has worked on cotton mechanization, especially picking. So much labor is required. So cost is going a lot. So again, multiple solutions. I'm not especially a cotton expert, I would say. Maybe cotton expert, those who are working on cotton crops can give more solutions. But my way of thinking is looking at the problems in a systemic way and then finding solutions. If you don't have solutions, talk to different stakeholders, different experts, and then find those solutions. But one size fit all, how to minimize farmers' risk. Yeah, risk is very, very important. So there are 2-3 things on risk. One is the climate risk, another is the market risk. So on Like ICRISAT means I am leading a project in ICRISAT which is on AI-powered, contextualized, weather-based agro system. So we have developed a platform, a system which uses decision trees and uses the kind of look at the weather trends, climate trends also on 20 years. So you can generate thumb rules, but also uses the past 1 week rainfall, next 1 week forecast, and 2 weeks outlook, and the soil and crop calendar, and devise contextualized agroareas. So we are working in Maharashtra currently. So our plan is to really now we are going at the block level, and then at the block level, village level, and then the farmer level. So once the farmer put the date of sowing for each crop, wherever he has sown on that particular location, the crop calendar will be generated for that location for that crop in that season, and then the advisories will come as per that stage. So I think a lot of advancements are happening, but at the same time also the market intelligence is another area where we need to really build capacity of farmers and inform farmers so they can plan properly. And there are multiple things actually on when your solution side you are coming, but these two things I wanted to say. Uh, Cost of cultivation increased day by day. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's where again I will not go on solutions. Cost of. I think the people who are in this group or people somewhere else who are working in these areas, we need to really understand and try to identify evidences or generate evidence to understand that why farmers are kind of so much cost, and in the same village cost of production is different. So looking at that, there's not really much analysis, and there are some aggregate analysis, but people don't have. So Extension system also doesn't have any information where they can guide you that how do you really reduce. So unless we generate information that whether overuse of fertilizer, overuse of pesticide, or right time of sowing, or right time of harvesting, whether the mechanization, there are multiple things, or how much organic. Suppose now, one thing I want to ask you, everyone, very simple solutions. Uh, Even when I was not in school, before that also when books are there, and even our people in the village when books were not there, people know how to make good quality farmyard manure or compost, even 50, 60 years back. But if you look at today in India, almost 90% farmers are not preparing proper compost. Simple. So we are talking about everything, but why we are not thinking about it? It's a responsibility of everyone, researchers, extension people. Why it's not happening? So we know that you tell farmer that how do you make a compost? They know, but we haven't really looked at the business model. Why people are not doing it? So the organic content in soil is really reducing, and a lot of waste is being burned. It's not a problem of Punjab alone. I think our research overall at different level, different subject has not been really bringing very good, workable, economically viable solutions to addressing those problems. So I think it's all together policy and research. MSP is not real cost. MSP is fine, but in the long term, MSP will not be a solution to the problems actually. MSP is fine, which has supported farmers, but ultimately we have to produce as per the market. When our country was agriculturally deficit or food deficit, government can afford to provide MSP. Once the country becomes food surplus, it will be very difficult to sustain that MSP, because if you provide that and surplus is there, and then people keep on producing the same thing because MSP is there despite the soil health imbalances, everything, where to do and where to sell, there is no market. I think it's a much more complex issue. I can talk on that, but I think there's no time. uh, all questions have gone, only one hand is there raised. If somebody want to ask openly, maybe that may be the last question. Yes, somebody want to speak, somebody can speak. I think one person raising hand. If no, that's fine. And thank you very much, and nice to be
Virendra
here.
Gautam, you can unmute yourself if you want.
Vijendra Gautam. If you want to ask, you can ask. If your question already answered, then fine. Thank you very much, everyone.
I think your session was very much self-explanatory, sir. It was really a wonderful session, and I am sure everyone has asked their queries as well. So, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing your valuable insights and global perspectives with us today. Your deep understanding of sustainable food systems, agricultural economics, and climate adaptation has inspired everyone attending this winter school. Your vision of integrating research, policy, and practice to strengthen rural communities is truly remarkable and aligns perfectly with the mission of Bharat 2025. On the
Thank you.
behalf of AgriMeet Foundation Bharat, UGC MMTTC Jodhpur, and all the participants, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Sir for making Day 6 a day of knowledge, inspiration, and motivation. Thank you once again for your valuable time and contribution to this global learning initiative. I hope आपका साथ यूं ही अगले future academic activities में बना रहे. Thank you so much for your presence, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And those who have very specific interest on anything which I talked, they can reach out.
Sir,
Thank you
could
so
you
much.
please share your email or your PPT if you want so that we can share with the participants?
वो मैं बाद में email I can immediately share. Those who are seriously interested in something I spoke about, they can reach out. Those who are seriously interested. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir. Everyone, you may leave.
Oh, just a minute.
You all
Okay,
can
thank you.
check the email. And if anyone is seriously interested, they can mail. Thank you, sir. Everyone, you may leave.